again, thank you all for taking time out of your very busy days to join us for the ADAPT journey. 4 states, 4 paths towards more accessible IDEA data. And we are really excited about today's webinar, and mainly because we get to hear from the 4 states that are actually using the tool. So super excited about that, and I look forward to the discussion that will start here shortly. Next, the agenda. We're going to give a brief overview of ADAPT. Tony will provide that overview for us. Then we'll talk about the state stories, and I'll facilitate that discussion. And then we'll spend a little time going over questions and answers and resources. And Lauren will cover that portion of our webinar today. We're hoping, next, thank you. We're hoping our goal and our objectives of our time together is that, we will give you that, provide you with that overview just to kind of lay the foundation, if you will, to then take us into the meat of the presentation today. And that's the state's shared experience with using the ADAPT tool in the process of implementing. And more specifically, we're going to focus on what does it look like in practice. And each state, you'll see, has had a different experience. And then we're not going to sugarcoat things. We're going to talk about challenges and practical solutions. And then spend a little bit of time on internal and external collaboration and the benefits of using ADAPT. Our presenters are going to be very forthcoming. And like I said, what's gone well? What were some of the hiccups or the barriers, and then solutions to all of that? So excited to hear from them. The introduction to the Weiss team, you'll see my name is last there, Charlie Silva, and I work as the Deputy Director of the Center and also a TA provider. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tony for introductions.
Thank you for joining, everyone. And I am Tony Ruggiero, the Weiss Center Part C Technical Assistance Lead, and I will turn it over to Lauren.
Hey, everybody. I'm Lauren Hallhan, and I am the Tony sidekick on the Part B side, the TA lead for that team. Glad to be here.
Great. Thanks, Tony and Lauren. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you, Tony, to give us a brief overview of ADAPT.
Thank you, Charlie. ADAPT is the accessible data analysis and publishing tool. This is why we are here today. And ADAPT supports the specific public reporting mandates under IDEA sections 616, also known as the State Performance Plan Annual Performance Review, and the 618 data collections for both Part C and Part B. The tool allows states to author and publish reports that adhere to state reporting requirements and are accessible to all, including individuals with disabilities. And ADAPT is the ultimate resource for generating accessible IDEA data reports, and ADAPT offers report templates for both Part C and Part B, including child count, assessment personnel, and much more. So you can see they are the 618 collections. And next we have ADAPT goes beyond compliance, and in achieving maximal accessibility goes beyond Section 508 compliance. And while this establishes a baseline of accessibility, ADAPT has undergone rigorous user testing with many people to ensure that it meets the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, also known as WCAG 2.2. And this allows ADAPT to be leveraged across lead agencies and state education agencies to effectively meet specific public reporting requirements under IDEA Section 616 and 618, again for Part B and Part C. key features of ADAPT. And the following features represent the key functionalities that support efficient and accessible reporting. There's a data management component, which enables you to easily handle your data by creating, editing, and managing data views. You can create reports, and these reports are customized based on your selected data view, and you can generate live previews of the report. So once you create a report, it doesn't automatically get published for everyone to see. You have an opportunity to review, make changes, and make sure everyone's in agreement in terms of it being ready to go live. Settings. The settings include configuring application settings that include data sources. So ADAPT does come with a list of data sources. This is, however, can be changed, or you can add to this list of data sources as you see fit, something that matches your state and the needs of your state, and also allows for user management and session timeout. So both of those help with security and data suppression rules, because we know sometimes that the numbers are so small that we're not able to publish those for everyone to see. And those data suppression rules are set by you, and the rules according to your agency and your state. And as far as the accessibility settings, this is what excites many people. And so the ability to customize the appearance of ADAPT to meet your needs, you can adjust the text size anywhere from 85% to 200%. You can modify the spacing between elements on the page. This is something I never thought of until I saw ADAPT. And the fact that you can create space and more space in between lines that helps with the ease or comfort of reading is pretty remarkable and very helpful. And it also allows to change the color theme to improve contrast. So for example, there's a high contrast mode for people who may be glare sensitive, and then you can also alter the layout by changing how content is displayed on the screen. So for example, there's a default option where you can easily see the information or go through the information on a computer, or there's a single column, which is helpful for when you're using a mobile device to look at the information and adapt. And with that, we'll turn it back over to Charlie.
Thanks, Tony. And hopefully many of these key features that Tony just shared with us all, our states will talk about how they've embedded or how they've used some of those key features. All right, this is a time where we need a drum roll. This is what we've all been waiting for, is to hear from our states. We're calling our state stories. If we can go to the next slide, we're very fortunate to have 4 different states with us this afternoon: Arkansas, South Carolina, Hawaii, and Nebraska. And they are in order of the states that started, or when they started with the implementation. So our very first state, Arkansas, yay, we met on site back in September. So they were our first state, followed by South Carolina, Hawaii, and our most current state, Nebraska, which I believe it hasn't even been a month since we've been on site. So at this point, I would like our panelists to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Laura.
Hello from Arkansas. I'm Laura Godrich. I'm the Part B data manager.
And Carolyn?
I am Carolyn Bostic. I am the team lead and Part B data manager for South Carolina.
Albert?
Hello, I'm Albert Roman. I'm one of the data analysts under Carolyn Bostic, and I am primarily in charge of our public reporting.
Great. Lori?
Aloha from Hawaii. I'm Laurie Morimoto. I'm the Part B data manager. And next to me, I'm Brianna White and the administrator for our IDA team in the monitoring and compliance branch.
Last but not least, Jill.
Hi, I'm Jill Arend. I'm the Office Administrator for Data Management and Application Development, and our team handles all of the application development and all data, including EdFacts reporting.
That's awesome. And I just need to share that I'm very fortunate to be assigned to support both Arkansas and Hawaii. So yes, I had the privilege to going to Hawaii back in February and joining Brick, Lori, and their team in the beautiful state of Hawaii, which was amazing. And that was just a very, very good experience. So so glad that they're able to join us today. And Jill, just want to do a shout out to you. You're the only person on the panel, if you will, that really has that IT piece of everything that we're doing. So feel really fortunate that you're able to join us as well so that we get that perspective in addition to hearing from the Part B data manager. So again, thanks for joining us. All right. So our first question, and well, I want to share before we get into the first question, as we go through these, if you have questions for any of the panelists or just any questions at all, please put it in chat. Lauren is our keeper of all things in chat. So she will be monitoring that as we go through these and will interject as appropriate depending on the question. So again, we encourage you to utilize the chat. We will also set some time at the end. So, just jot down your thoughts and questions. All right, the first question, and this one we'll start with Laura from Arkansas. How did you find out about ADAPT? And I'm going to help her out a little bit with this one, but I'm going to let you start, Laura.
So I was a data manager, but before me in summer, Dr. Jody Fields was our data manager, and she was a big advocate of ADAPT. She was on some of the initial stakeholder panel meetings. And so she retired in summer, and right there at that transition was our very first on-site meeting with ADAPT. And we were so excited because not only did we get to see Arkansas's version of ADAPT kind of slides to give us that first taste, but we also got to review our state web pages, and we knew we needed a lot of work in some of them just to make them accessible. So the team was beautiful in helping us walk through those two different aspects. And then we followed up in September with a 2-day visit with the ADAPT team and our on-site IT team as well to make our first version of ADAPT live. We were so excited. Within the first day, we already had the public website, the viewer, accessible. And within the second day, we had all of our reports up and ready to go. So it was a really smooth experience and a really fun experience. It was very rejoicing at the end to have the live sites ready to go right there.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. And as she mentioned, Jody Fields and the stakeholder groups, when the center first started, we, at the direction of our co-directors, Fred and Johan, we decided it was so critical before we create something in a bubble, let's bring people together from across the country and get their input on if we want to create this tool, what do you think we should have in the tool? So we had these stakeholder meetings, as Laura referenced, 3 or 4 of them, if I recall correctly, across the country from Seattle to Atlanta to DC, all over. And we brought in data managers, we brought in parents, we brought in advocates, we brought in university people. It was really a diverse group of participants. And we solicited all their input to just kind of start to lay the groundwork for building the tool. And as Laura said, Jody Fields, who many of you probably know, she's a data manager for a really long time. And And she was one of our biggest cheerleaders. She was like, this is what we need. So I was like, all right. Fast forward, she kind of phases out, and then Laura comes in. And I don't know about any of you, but I can't imagine starting a brand new job and then saying, oh, sure, I'll do this too. But she did. And we're very, very thankful for that. So that just kind of lays the groundwork on how we started the work in the creation of the tools. One other state want to mention how they found out about ADAPT?
Sure. This is Carolyn in South Carolina, and I was also a part of that initial interest group. That is where I first heard of ADAPT. And it's been a journey, but we've had levels of meetings on top of meetings until it got to our CIO, who was like, "Yes, if it's going to help, yes."
Mm-hmm. And Carolyn, that's awesome. That leads right into our next question. If you just want to elaborate a little bit more, what really piqued your interest? I mean, what part of it?
Sure. So one of the things that we were lacking was data visualizations, and we'd gone through a couple of trainings. And so utilizing ADAPT gave us a 2-for-1. It allowed us to meet the SEA version of the public reporting requirement, as well as making that information accessible. So anytime there's an opportunity to capitalize on a targeted audience getting the information in an accessible way, I was a fan of pretty. And we all know that accessible does not equate to pretty, right? So this gave us an opportunity to get the 2-for-1, as well as took away a barrier for us, because we would have to wait to get information from others so that they could build the data visualization for us. Now that gives us ownership back, and we could do it ourselves without having to wait on someone else whose timeline may be different.
Thanks, Carolyn. And I really like that 2-for-1. That resonates with me. Any other state want to share? Okay, let's go then to question 3. And this one, what team members from your state agency participated in the ADAPT demo? And this question, it'd be great, Jill, if you could start us off.
Yeah, so here in Nebraska, I actually, going back to the first question, heard about it directly from Lauren. We got an email saying, hey, do you guys know about this? And I personally didn't, because I'm not that embedded into special education data. But as soon as I heard about it, I knew that it would be a good option for us, because we were also looking at meeting the federal recording requirements, working currently on our other websites on making sure things were updated for compliance. ADA compliance. So, and then when I found out about it, we actually brought people from 3 different teams here to participate in the demo. Obviously, the people from our special education team, we had both the Part B and Part C data managers. We had the administrator for the special education team participate, and then we had a couple of other people from who had an interest in this. And then in my team, and on our side, I had our CIO participated. He was very interested in seeing how this, and he has a background in security and privacy. So he really was looking at it from that point of view. Again, I had our FX coordinator on there, because she is then in charge of making sure all the data, including the special education data, is uploaded. And also the person who is the specialist on our team who focuses on special education data and helps the Part B and Part C data managers. And then from our tech services or network team, we actually brought in the people that deal with our cloud implementation, with our, DSNs, our SSO, so that they would have an idea of what was going to be needed once we decided if we were moving forward with this. So I think we had at least 10 people on the demo, and we had some people who wanted to participate and could not. So it was a rather large group.
Mm-hmm. And those of you on the call going, oh my gosh, there's no way I could get all these 10 people in a room. Don't worry. Nebraska is the gold star for their ability to bring everybody together. Others, Laura, and why don't you share a little bit, Laura, about our experience with who we brought in to the table. Wasn't 10 people.
No. So at the department, we're very separated out over a large area as well. So we, on the September meeting, that 2-day face-to-face, we had our IT person, and that was a lot of work to get our IT person there. But the handshake that they were able to do for Microsoft to make that easy admin login was completely worth it, and really got the ball rolling for us. But the other people that came on the team were 3 of my team members who are all but one new hires, because we had some transition with Dr. Fields retiring. And so we all were excited and just hit the ground running. But there were just the 3 of us and then our IT guy, who I guess really he just stayed for the morning. So once he had his piece done, it was just us and Adapt.
Thanks, Laura. And again, we would love to bring everybody to the table, but we also know in some states that's a bit of a challenge. And I don't want anybody to think that if you can't bring all those people together, you can't move forward, because you absolutely can. We'll meet you. We will always meet you where you're at. So just know that. All right, next question. And this is for Hawaii. Question 4. Why did you decide to move forward with the implementation?
All right. So I think one of the main things was we were so excited for this opportunity as well to consider utilizing Adapt, because it'll help make our data more accessible, more out there for our stakeholders, our educational partners, because the main thing is we want to use this data to really build our capacity of our state. We want to make sure that all of the folks involved with special education are utilizing this data so that we can improve our outcomes for our students. So the big key that we wanted is, on our site originally, and that was part of Weiss Center, is they took a look at our current website and gave us feedback. This is what we're seeing on your site. This is how Adapt can help make your data more user-friendly for your constituents. And so we really wanted to move away from those static, really hard to navigate PDFs that we were just posting on our site, and now have these dynamic, accessible formats so that everyone that is accessing our site can see our data, can make sense of our data, and actually use it to help us improve our students' outcomes. So that was really huge for us, is to have this ability to have more inclusive experiences for whoever is utilizing our website. And like everyone has said so far, Weiss Center has been, very instrumental in meeting you wherever you're at. This is what we've got. And when Arkansas actually presented on this, when they first rolled out, I reached out to Laura and she gave all these great feedbacks and, how to get your data ready, pull this in. And so we literally had everything built like within the day that Weiss Center came to our state, and it was ready to roll. It was kind of just drop and go.
Yeah, thanks, Lori. That's great. Any other panelists want to weigh in on question 4? All right, let's move then to 5. And this goes back to you, Laura. From interest to implementation, what roadblocks have you faced? And other panelists, get ready to weigh in, because we want to be very transparent and hear about what roadblocks you did face. But we'll start with you, Laura.
Sure. So one really nice feature working with the Adapt team was that we were able to craft our own website address, our web address. And that was really key to getting approval pushed through as quick as possible before the team came on site. And so we have to follow specific state guidelines for addresses. We had to get our DSA through, and that all went super smoothly. So our web address is our Office of Special Ed hyphen adapt viewer, and then our standard ADE arkansas.gov. And so with that, it pushed through leadership within a week, which was unheard of, but it was wonderful. Also, when the adapt team visited us on site, we really had that seamless login with the handshake for making any updates. So we did make some updates, and some of our initial data files, we noticed we had to make some changes on our end for the data checks. And so that having that handshake work so smoothly was really, really nice. And now we have these beautiful, clean, approachable graphics for our stakeholders that we presented to our advisory board and other districts. It's great.
Yeah, and since you mentioned that, Laura, do you want to just briefly mention what you shared with your advisory panel, your state advisory panel? It's a little bit of a bird walk, but I think since you mentioned it.
Sure. So in January, we shared the full adapt with them. In October, we gave them the teaser. But in January, we walked through all the screens and got their feedback. The nice thing is there's several switches that on the viewer screen as you first adjust it to meet your best visualization guidelines with that lovely comfort spacing. I always love that. And the dark mode or light modes. After you do all of that, there's glossary and the plain language that you can tag on. And that really helped. In addition, we have printed glossaries, which is just that same words and working with the team. That was easy for us to get approved through leadership. Again, that made everything accessible. And then we tied that in with our SPP APR, so our state performance plan, our annual performance review. So in January, we were talking about, hey, these are all of, where our data has been for the last few years. Let's look at these beautiful pictures on Adapt so you can graphically see it. And now let's see where our data is going next. And that transition happened very smoothly, so that taking those 618 data files in a visual way and then taking them to our SPP APR, which was submitted February 2nd. So
great, thank you. Other panelists, Albert, Jill, any of you want to weigh in? What roadblocks have you faced?
I can chime in on this one. We did face a couple of issues when we were first having our on-site meeting, but it had to do with the way that our source files were set up. And what I kind of enjoyed about the tool when we were trying to implement it at that time was that it was working as a way for us to double check our source data. So we were able to kind of look at the files a little bit more carefully and see exactly how we were saving them and submitting them into the tool for it to kick back and let us know, hey, something is wrong, for us to, go in there and double check. What it ended up being was just that the file naming conventions had to be a certain way. And once we understood exactly how it was supposed to be, then we went through each file with the Adapt team to make sure that everything was named correctly and formatted correctly. And once we had that go through, everything went by smoothly.
Great, thanks. Anybody else want to weigh in on any roadblocks? Okay, next question. How has implementation benefited your state? And Albert, why don't you continue on? You and Carolyn can start us off on this.
Sure, yeah. I believe it's benefited us significantly already. We were able to get all of our 23, 24, and 24, 25 data up already. So we have all of those files up and available for public viewing. It has definitely helped with the amount of data requests that we get because we were supposed to have this information, on our website already, but we actually ran into an issue with the way that we were currently displaying it. Apparently, the main person that was, in charge of maintaining it was no longer with the agency, and they kind of took that information down from our website. So we did not have a way to publicly display this information. And I was actually tasked with trying to recreate that entire thing from scratch with my knowledge with Power BI. But I can't express how much time this tool saves us, because not only am I not having to build all these visualizations from scratch, but I'm also not having to worry about making everything accessible on top of that. So it's benefited us greatly so far.
Others want to weigh in?
I just want to add to that we also released the link internally to our team internally, and they all love it. And they sent kudos. They send kudos to everyone who helped us create the dashboard, the Adapt dashboards. But the number one pending question is, can we get this for LEAs as well? So they absolutely love it. So just kind of giving you a heads up what's coming down the pike. So.
Thanks,
Charlie,
yeah, go ahead, Lauren.
I was just going to say there is a little bit of traffic in the chat. I don't know if you want to take time now to address it, or I've been responding in the chat, but just so folks have some sense of the questions. One is Hawaii and Arkansas, the links for their ADAPT sites are in the chat. And Paola was wondering, do we house those on the Weiss Center website? And we don't. Those really belong to the states once they have their ADAPT site up and running. So we don't house them, but we're happy to share those links. And then Paola asked, and I wonder if any of the panelists want to speak to this, is how about parents in leadership positions, especially folks who are part of their state or local coordinating councils? How does ADAPT help parent leader folks? What do we think about like its utility for equipping parent leaders?
That's a great question, and Laura kind of touched upon it. So, Laura, I don't know if you want to elaborate. And then Hawaii, if I recall correctly, Lori, you guys were planning to bring, or overview or showcase the tool with your parent advisory group. So, or anybody else want to weigh in?
Yeah, so for us, we have a very diverse advisory group, and they're very vocal, which is wonderful because they're great with feedback. But our parents really loved it. And so they're kind of leaders in their communities as well. And in fact, creating that summary glossary was coming from a parent as well, so that they could print it out for their team members to have that at their fingertips as they review the data. And they can expand, but they can also compress that view and get everything all at once. So they like the overview state reflection because then they take their community information and then reflect to the larger windows. So it was well received. We also had 5 data retreats throughout the region for our LEA supervisors, and many of them are themselves parents, and they loved having it at their fingertips to take back and reflect again on their local data to the larger audience, and see how they're fitting in the piece for Arkansas. So
great. Thanks, Laura. Lori, Brick, you want to weigh in at all?
Absolutely. We also have a very engaged and involved Special Education Advisory Council. We meet with them on a monthly basis and share information and receive their feedback and guidance. And every December, we meet with them and we call it a educational partner engagement meeting where we pick priorities of our SPP APR indicators, and we spend a whole day with our educational partners to share the data, share our information and improvement activities, and receive their feedback. We're very excited because part of their feedback when we redesigned our website, our Department Public website was just redesigned a year ago. So that was part of the feedback that we received from our Special Education Advisory Council about better understanding the data, as well as having accessible materials for them to understand, to better understand, so then they can in turn engage and provide their feedback as informed decision makers. We plan now that is on our website. Our next SEAC meeting is in May, and we plan to, Lori and I are going to do a presentation with them. We're going to explain to them ADAPT, show them the data, and compare it to the static tables we previously have on our website, and also open it up for their feedback, and we'll share their feedback with Charlie. So we look forward to that. Absolutely.
Great. Thanks so much. That was very helpful. All right, let's move along. And Lauren, if we'll go through a few more questions, and then if you want to interject, we'll answer any additional questions that are coming through the chat. So the next question, question 7, is for the whole team of panelists. What's your favorite feature? And we're going to start with Arkansas. With a screenshot, I believe, of your favorite feature, Laura. Let's see what's on there. Or maybe that's, we can go ahead. Let's see. Okay, sorry. What's your favorite feature? Sorry, go back to 7. I jumped ahead. Apologize for that. So,
no problem. Yeah. So ours is definitely the visualization tool, and the fact that the plain language descriptions. This terminology, you can just drown in it. Mm-hmm. And so having that plain language there, and also as we met with the team starting in summer and then September, we tailored that language to be Arkansas. And so being able to tailor that plain language and enhance it really made it accessible to our audience, and then just a clean image of the data and what it represents.
Great, thanks. Jill from Nebraska, I know it hasn't even been a month, but have you identified, or has anybody on your team identified a favorite feature?
Well, for me, myself, my favorite feature isn't really on the site. It's the fact that this can be done by our Part B data manager. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to get the application developers involved. I don't have to get our business intelligence team involved, because as everyone probably experiences, they're all fully engaged all the time. So we're able to work on this and get it up utilizing just our data people and our Part B and Part C data managers. And that was the biggest selling point to me. I love a lot of the features, the changes in how it's displayed to make sure it's really ADA accessible. The way we can, again, customize definitions, those are all fantastic features, but I'm selfish. And so mine is the fact that my staff doesn't have to do this and they can work on other things, and yet we can still have a great product out there.
No, Jill, you're not selfish. I'm sure all the other panelists and anybody that's listening that works as a Part B data manager, they're like, oh, yes, because we all, I think, would agree, the more people you involve, the longer it takes. And, this is a one-stop shopping is the way I view it for the data manager to get all of this out. So thank you for sharing that. South Carolina or Hawaii?
Yeah, some of my favorite features were already addressed. I really like the fact that you can toggle the plain language and the glossary information on there. But one of my favorite ones is just the technical aspects of it. Just being able to use the EDFACS files themselves is just so easy to just kind of get up there without, like what was previously said, without involving a whole team of people to do that. We use the exact same files that we submit through EDFACS, and yeah, it's just a big time saver.
Great, thanks, Albert. And Hawaii?
Ditto to everything that has been said. The one-stop shop, drag and drop. You've got the data, just drop it in there and it's ready to go, accessible and usable for anyone that accesses the site. It's just such a easy to use tool, and everything is there. I really love how we can customize a little bit in terms of, adding in things here in Hawaii. We'll talk about a little bit later is, we have 2 languages, English and Hawaiian. And so we were able to add in a little bit of the Hawaiian special characters to our site. So, it's definitely customizable, working with Weiss Center to make sure that it will reflect what we need within our state.
Great. And thanks, Lori. That's a perfect segue into talking about customization, because that's one of the big selling points that we promote, is that this is a tool. So if we can go to question 8, this is a tool that states can customize to meet your own unique needs. And I'll have Lori elaborate in a little bit about Hawaii, but let's start with Laura from Arkansas. And great, walk us through what's on the screen.
Yeah, so on the resources page, we loved many of the pieces that were already there. We used everything in place, but we wanted to make it unique for Arkansas with some of our needs. So our office, you can see on the bottom left-hand side, is listed there along with the description and a link to our main web page. Next to that is our related services tip sheet, which gives a list of all services available in the department, and it's your go-to tip sheet of who to contact where. And in addition, right below that one is our behavior analyst certification board. So we get a lot of questions about behavior, especially for the last few years. And so having those three resources really at the fingertips of any user for ADAPT at any level, it meets the needs of all of our stakeholders. It's really great.
Yeah, and Laura, I love this because, you talk about the ABA. That may not be of interest to other states, but it is to you. So that's what's so awesome is that, you know what your stakeholders in your state need to know or what they're interested in. So this allows you to, again, to get that information in one place. So thank you for sharing. South Carolina, I think you have something you want to share. Yep.
Yeah, so we didn't customize too many things on the tool itself, other than, of course, our logo and our name that was at the very top. But we were able to very easily create a link to the viewer site and place that link on our dedicated Office of Special Education pages. So that's what these two screenshots show.
Great. Thank you, Albert. And Hawaii?
Then you can talk. All right. So just like how Albert shared, that was one of the best parts of this is though ADAPT is built, on a specific AWS Amazon Web Services site, we were able to embed it straight into our department site. So this is a screenshot of our department data webpage. And in the center there, it has the current Section 618 data. And from there, it links straight to the ADAPT website. So folks can access this site easily from where they already know is our data page to get there. And then from there, we were able to then build in pieces from our requirements for utilizing Hawaiian special characters. So in Hawaii, we have two special characters, the okina, which is like a glottal stop, kind of like a pause when you say it. Like in Hawaii, it's Hawaii with the little okina in between the two eyes. And there's also kahakos, which is like a macron that kind of extends vowel sounds. So it was really nice to work with Weiss to get creative in how screen readers will utilize these special characters so that folks here in Hawaii that are using screen readers will still be able to hear the words pronounced correctly with these special characters in there. So that was kind of a cool thing is that they were open to, learning these things and helping to customize it really to our language here as well. So yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, and that really, Lori, the Okina sign, I learned something new on site, and that really was a team effort. We had to bring in some of our experts from our Georgia Tech team to help us problem solve that because that's unique to Hawaii. We hadn't come across that. And how do you take that special character or symbol, if you will, and what does it sound like when you're using a screen reader? So that was a team effort to figure out how do we do this? And Lori, I think we're 95% there. Should have it ready to go here within the next couple of weeks. So thank you all for sharing. And we're not ignoring Nebraska. Nebraska, just since again is our newest state, they're not in a position quite yet. Hopefully if we're able to all come together at OSUP leadership, Nebraska will be able to share their favorite customization feature. So we look forward to hearing from them at a later date. All right, next. Lauren, any questions before we move on to 9?
Nope.
Okay, great. So the next question, what are you most excited about related to ADAPT? And then how do you see it enhancing your work with IDA data and with the public? And we kind of already talked about that, not the larger public, but more specific to panels, state panels. So if anybody wants to elaborate, please do so. And for 9, let's start with Hawaii.
All right. So again, I think it's kind of, we're just saying the same things over and over again, but
yeah.
It's really empowering our educational partners to provide them with that user-friendly front door to the data, so that they can provide us with, informed and meaningful feedback when we're engaging with them. So it's not just data being posted, but really being used by folks to help us make good decisions. We love that we were able to integrate, our local cultural aspects to this, to make that unique identity to our ADAPT site. And then just, making sure that there's that access, right, to understand the data, because that really was key is, we want the data to be used. It's not just sitting there. And that goes straight into the next question of enhancing our work is, being transparent. Folks can see what's going on. How is our data looking? What's going on? Is it improving? Is it not? Is it stagnating? So what's going on so that way we can be more efficient with what we're doing within our state. Using this data, taking the raw data and actually making it usable. I think that was the key, because our main piece here in Hawaii, right? We talk about aloha, being family oriented. And so that's the whole point of building those relationships is being transparent with our data. And so that folks can then work with us and we can work with them to strengthen that whole relationship.
Great. Thanks, Lori. And Carolyn, if I recall, you put a plug in earlier about where you would like to see the tool go or the ability of the tool as we move down the road. And if I recall correctly, you mentioned something about LEA being able to do that. You want to elaborate on how you would see that as a benefit?
Sure. So based on the number of data requests that we get, of course, they want to see what the SEA state results are. But we also get a lot of data requests for the LEAs, specific LEAs for researchers and various projects. And so being able to see this in a format that's accessible ready, I think that would be great. Like I said, internally, once we shared the link, that was the number one question. How can we get this by LEA? Because the language is so simple and easy to understand. Like we didn't get a lot of questions about what it meant, because everything was right there. So the ease of use for the tool was awesome. And one other thing, also knowing that you guys are working on the accessibility a version of the same report for Table 8 and the MOE and CEIS, as well as the dispute resolution. So knowing that those things are coming down the pikes, I'm excited to see it. One, because we would not have to wait for someone else to do it for us. As Albert mentioned earlier, it would be an burden of ease for him to have to create something else, right? So just having everything in a one-stop shop is amazing. So I'm looking forward to that.
Great. And thank you for sharing that, Carolyn. And yes, we are working on or what's kind of in the queue, so to speak, is the dispute resolution report is the next one that will come once we get Nebraska is our priority right now. So we're really working with Nebraska to make sure they're good to go. And then again, supporting our existing states. And then we have prioritized getting that dispute resolution and the MOE CIS reports to come soon. Don't make me define soon, but
and I will also say that one other plus, having the ADAPT IT team present, that was astronomical because they were able to go in and check things right then and there. We didn't have, we send emails, but it was just good to have that personal connection right there on site, where they could troubleshoot things, delete things if we needed it to, and start the process over again. So that was also a bonus for us.
Yeah, those developers are so critical. So thanks for sharing that. Anybody else have anything to add? All right, let's move on to question 10. And this is really for you, Jill, because you had mentioned, having 10 different people at the table. And I'm sure there are participants wondering or would very much appreciate to hear from you on how do you get those people to the table? Do you
Yeah,
bribe them? What do you do? You have a stash of cookies? I mean, tell us what works for you
I
and
will, yeah,
Nebraska.
I will try any of those things, but fortunately, I have a pretty close relationship with the head of our tech services or network team, and I spoke with him about making sure that the right people would be available both for the demo webinar and then also when we scheduled the Weiss Center to come on site to do our implementation. And I'll point out that the Weiss Center never made it on site because there was a snowstorm and people were stuck in airports. And so we still managed to do the entire thing virtually. So we were very fortunate there and everyone was able to participate. But so I talked to the head of IT. He made sure that the right people were there, did the demo so they'd know what was coming up. We also were easily be able to get basically we have a ticket system for tech services and we just set that up for the different tasks that need to be done by our team before Weiss could get our stuff up and going. And so I saw a lot of emails going back via that ticketing system as they were working through that process. So, making sure that the URLs were up and going and making sure we had, as I think Laura mentioned, that handshake so that all of that was working successfully by the time that we had our kickoff meeting. And then the other side of the IT, the data side, we really had good participation from our FX coordinator, our data person in my team. She already has a very close working relationship with our Part B and Part C data managers, works with them on a very frequent basis. So we knew that was going to make things a lot easier. As I mentioned, it's really nice to be able to use EDFACS files. And so as we were doing the kickoff, we ran the same thing. We were trying to upload some files and we didn't have like the name of the file in the right format. So having both of them on that participation, the data person was able to make updates to the file, whether it was the header or the title, and pass it back over to the Part B data manager, who then was uploading those and creating her initial reports. So a lot of it was just talking to the right people, making sure that they were giving their staff the time to participate, and also understanding how much easier it made things as opposed to us building something like this ourselves, and how much time it was going to save. It really made people want to participate.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And you said something that really resonated is, there's that thought out there sometimes, oh, well, we'll just build it. We can build it. It's like, oh my gosh, this is done. This is finished. This is a tool that's ready to use. So thank you for sharing that. All right. It's hard to believe, but our time is coming to an end. So I would like, first and foremost, to just say thank you to all of our panelists. Really can't say enough how much we appreciate working with you all and you guys, your commitment to moving our work forward. So kudos to all of you. Really sincerely appreciate it. At this point, I want to turn it over to Lauren, who's just going to quickly go through some resources. And then if we can all stay on, we have an evaluation that we would love for you all to take a few minutes to complete. Lauren?
Yep, and I put the link to the evaluation in the chat so you can get started on it, and we'll pull up the QR code in just a second. But we just want you to know, if you want to know more about ADAPT, we've got a video, we've got kind of a 101 resource. If you want to know more about some of the technical details, that ADAPT documentation, that link below, is a great starting point for the kind of the technical build. And with that, let's go ahead to the next slide so people can get the URL to the eval. that's if you want to reach out to your state liaison, you can find out who they are and then ask for a demo. And then the next slide will give you that evaluation link. We want to make sure you have time to do that.
And we know, evaluations aren't or surveys aren't everybody's favorite thing to do, but we really, really do value your input. So we would love for you just to take a minute, tell us what we did well, what we could improve upon. Again, we're always trying to, that continuous improvement cycle is so, so important. So please give us your thoughts. Tell us what you think. All right, we are just at getting close to being at the top of the hour. So again, want to thank everybody for joining us. We really do appreciate you participating. Panelists, again, thank you. If anybody has questions or anything, please reach out to either myself or anybody on the Weiss team. We're here to help you. So again, thanks everybody and have a great rest of your day.